Next question is from Wisdom Truth. Do you think Harry's major problem is he's guilty of not wanting to speak on the phone to his mother before she died? Is the conflict between the brothers were planted by his mother? If there is no income, what will H&M do for money next?
Interesting.
Do you want me to break that down one by one?
Yeah.
First one was, do you think Harry's major problem is he's guilty of not wanting to speak to his mother before she died?
I haven't heard that one before, so I don't know. I don't know that one.
All right, next
I don't know
one.
the answer to that.
Was the conflict between the brothers planted by his mother?
I don't think so. I think, see, that's a great question. I think it wasn't planted by his mother. I think that Prince William, as being the crown prince, was treated in a way that he was trained differently than Harry was. And I think that is what got under Harry's skin. It's like, okay, you're going to become a future king. You, after he gets married, most likely will never be a king. So they're going to be trained, raised, reared in a different manner because they're going to have different responsibilities. So I think that's what got under Harry's skin. Again, by the title of his book, Spare, and by how many interviews that he gives and how many comments he's made over the years, again, going back to the sausages thing. That tells you what you need to know. How does a guy complain that his brother got 2 sausages? Just ask, hey, can I have another sausage? That's all you'd say. Can I have one more? If they said, no, we'll give you one more, but then he gets 2 more on top of that, then you could see there's an issue. No, he got 2. He's probably bigger than you, and that was it.
The last part, we've touched on this. If there is no income, what are they going to do for money next?
Split. Split. I don't think, I mean, the only thing left for them to do, which again would be the complete end of them. When I mean the complete end, let me rewind. When the Hollywood Reporter put out their list of winners and losers of 2023, and they branded the Megans as one of the biggest losers of the year, that was Hollywood telling them, you're done. Park it, pack up your stuff, and do it quietly. And maybe if you do good long enough, because a lot of these magazines are used by the studios to send messages. Sometimes it's to hype somebody who's coming up. Sometimes it's to get someone ready to be forgiven by the public. This person's had a lot of trouble, so they lost your shit. But guess what? You never know what's on the horizon. The way that they wrote that paragraph for them in the Hollywood Reporter, and then followed up by the Forbes magazine article, it's like, pack up, guys. That's why William Morris, I think when they do let them go, I don't think it'll be in the Spotify manner. I think they'll do that diplomatically. They'll just go silent. I think you just won't hear about them again. Because there's a rule in Hollywood that I learned last year. I never knew that before, which is that they really don't attack each other publicly inside the system because they never know who they're going to work with. Because you've had some people who've been totally blown away, like John Travolta. His career was dead, and then Tarantino brings him into Pulp Fiction and relights and becomes a star again for a few years. So they try to monitor how they're going to attack each other because they don't know. She gets a wish granted by someone, and 10 years down the line stars in something that they'll have to work together. But I think they're done, and without the money, the cracks will rise. She'll do her memoir. He'll do Spare Part 2. And that will pretty much show the public who they are. They only have hate to sell.
Question from Cheryl Leaves. Will 2024 finally put an end to the twosome grifting off the titles they're not supposed to use?
Hopefully. Hopefully. I just don't think there's a lot of gas left in the engine. You know, I'm always ready to be shocked, but they haven't seemed to listen to anyone so far. It also tells you that they have no close friends. Because, you know, when you have mates, they tell you you're messing up. Like, you can't see it. That's what best mates do. They show you this, you're on the wrong path. Because every decision they made, I'm like, they really don't have any friends around them. I mean, true friends, not fair weather friends. Or like, yes, man, and whatever you want. I'm talking about real people to sit them down and go, you're screwed. No, I don't think so. So I think they're going to continue on this track until they fade out.
We've got quite a few questions coming from this person. What Andal? I'll just do them one by one. How is the $30 million being given by Harry's friend Justin Trudeau for Invictus Vancouver to be distributed?
I think they're going to probably follow the same model as the Invictus Games in Germany. It's going to cover 80 to 90% of their expenses, and then 10% will be left, 10 to 20% will be left for the actual veterans, which is disgusting.
That is disgusting. He then says CEOs for Invictus have been let go, which means less money from the 30 million has to go to Invictus payroll. How does Harry get his amount of money for the event? Does he just give them a list for the cost of private jet, hotel, and Meghan's clothing?
I don't know, but somehow they get their expenses covered. In Invictus in Germany, they decided to stay in a presidential suite. Again, now some people are going to say, well, he's a prince. This is the way he's lived. And I'd say, hold on a second. You're talking about someone who keeps saying that charity is his life. Veterans are his life, as being a former one. Well, if that is the case, then he would want every single penny to go to support them. Why not take that 40 million and go, how many of you showed up to the Invictus game? 200? Each one of you get $500,000 or 200,000. Besides it, we're going to help your life. I'm going to give you what you need. This is what this money is to do, to improve your life, for you to become the role models to the world that you are to me. That's what he should do. But he doesn't. Goes and stays in the presidential suite for 10 days, flies a private jet from there to Portugal, back to LA. See, that's why they've set themselves in a trap. He wants to still be living the life of a senior royal without performing any of the official duties, without actually working for it, without skills to do anything else, but to live a shadow life. And that's why I now view them as the Montecito merchandisers.
So this person continues, would Meghan even attend if she wasn't given a clothing allowance? How much goes to the disabled soldiers? Probably hardly any from what you just said.
Yeah.
2025 Invictus Canada, let's follow the money now. They don't even have to pay the CEOs who were fired.
No.
Wow.
I think it's just sad. Now, I liked, and I stated this when I watched the Netflix Invictus series, if you cut out all the Harry and Meghan stuff, if you cut out, the games are beautiful. Watching the veterans and how heroic they are, it's brilliant. You cannot destroy that message. Neither Harry can. The problem is they can corrode it to the outside world. Oh, it's Harry and Meghan. I don't want to watch it. That's why I told people, it's like, forget them. This is what they did bad. But these veterans deserve to be supported. And that's why they're so toxic now. They cannot be attached to anything. Look at the coffee company that Meghan invested in. The other day, stats were released that the lady who owns that quote unquote coffee store, her sales are now down 30% since the release of that commercial.
I watched it. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Surround Me With Dogs is wondering about your thoughts on the birth of the kids. There's all these theories about moon bumps and this kind of stuff. If you surrogates and
I've heard them. I just haven't found any facts. I understand what people are saying. I've seen the pictures. I've also seen a lot of pictures that I just can't tell what's real and not real. I've watched video and I can't explain it. But until I can find a fact, I've pretty much stayed out of that space. Meaning I don't want, because they're children, whether they're theirs or they're not theirs, I didn't want to talk about the kids because I just don't have that information. Once I get it, believe me, you will be the first to know.
Nessie's wondering whether you think they're actually still living together.
That I think, I don't think so as much. I don't. I've found too many reports that Harry has 2 different hotels where he spends a lot of time at. Now, of course, they can say he's doing that for business, but staying overnight multiple times. And then they're going to respond, well, it's 4 hours, it's in LA and it's 4 hours away from, 2 hours from Montecito, 2 hours back. I think they're spending less time together than they initially were. That's why they're doing these little trips. Let's go to Portugal, let's go to the Caribbean, let's go to Costa Rica to show, hey, we're fine. But Graydon Carter, the former editor of Variety, who used to be one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, because he would always have the Variety after party in the Oscars, which was the hardest ticket even to get for most. Like if you didn't win an Oscar or you weren't Jack Nicholson or Brad Pitt or De Niro, you didn't go. And he has twice burned them in the last year in interviews. And he said, their marriage is a joke. It's a shambles. It's what we're watching is, again, the beginning of the end. They're getting divorced because she's a grifter. She's in this for the money, gold digger. Like as soon as that runs out and she sees her opportunities are gone, they're gone. And then he also said they have no skills or talents to do anything. So you have to produce something. And when he gave that word, that was kind of like their former pope saying, they're done. Stop working with them.
If their relationship is shambles, do you think they're at risk of having affairs, or are they too famous to have affairs and get away with it?
That's an interesting question. I never thought of. Are they too famous? See, in many ways they are famous, and in many ways they aren't. They're like reality stars in a way that they've turned themselves into, which is why it's a shame and a tragedy that they still have titles, because